Okay, well, welcome to Yin. I'm Tiffany. I'm not sure if there's anyone new to Yin, but just in case, Yin is just a more of a relaxing type practice. We're going to be doing stretches that we hold for a few minutes. Tonight, the stretches are going to be focused on posture. So the reason I chose that is this sequence is going to focus on chest, shoulders, and hips, because obviously we've had just quite a lifestyle change, everyone, for the most part lately. Whether it's you're working from home and you're not sitting in the best chair and you're hunched at a computer, or maybe you're just sitting more than you normally do, probably a lot of us exercising less. So our bodies are probably feeling a little bit different. So this is going to help to kind of target those areas that I mentioned. The poses, sometimes I don't hold the poses quite as long. We usually do anywhere from 1 to 3 minutes. I'm going to push that a little bit today just because I feel like those muscles really need it. And it might be a little bit more uncomfortable than you're used to. I don't know if you're noticing in your other workouts or yoga practices that maybe your body feels quite a bit different. I know mine does. So we're really going to try to target these things and try to stick in the poses just a little bit longer. But if it starts to be too uncomfortable, it starts to hurt, just back out of the pose slowly, just whatever body part it is, you can just come back in a little bit. Maybe start out not taking the pose quite as deep as you normally would, and then work into it, knowing that you have the time to be there. And also, if anything hurts or is very uncomfortable, you can skip it and just take Shavasana or child's pose or do something that does feel good. So just make sure you're listening to your body tonight. It is going to be, maybe a little bit more uncomfortable than normal, but, with Yin, a lot of times we talk about being comfortable in the uncomfortable. So that's different from pain. So just try to notice what's happening with your body, but don't judge it. Just allow it to work, allow the practice to do its work, and allow your body to really sink into these poses. So we'll go ahead and get started in a comfortable seated position. I'm going to suggest something a little different for you tonight. Everything's always a suggestion. You don't have to do it, but maybe start out sitting on a block. The wider part is what you'll probably need. That's what I need. So for me, it feels better. You can play around with it, but for me, it feels better to sit a little bit forward, mid to forward on the block. So then your hips are in a little bit more comfortable position, especially for your posture. Your knees, if they were uncomfortably coming up, you can stick a pillow or blocks under your knees if you need to. And then just kind of notice your hips here. Try to get them comfortable. And then start to close your eyes once you're comfortable. Take a deep breath here. Your heart rate and your breath start to slow down just a little bit. And deepen your breath a little bit more, maybe so that you can hear it. It's breathing in through your nose, nice and long inhale. And then exhale, keeping the mouth closed for now. You can just open it slightly if you need to. Nice deep inhalations and exhalations. And then next, see if maybe you can tuck your pelvis just a little bit. So almost pointing your tailbone down towards the block a little bit, pressing your belly button back, not a lot. We're not really engaging the core a lot, but just to straighten yourself up just a little bit. Maybe stick your hand on your belly and notice the straightening. Continuing to breathe. And then if you haven't already, placing that hand on the belly, either hand. See if you can breathe even deeper into your hand. So your belly's pressing into your hand, not a lot, but just so that you can feel it. After your next exhalation, bring your awareness now to your chest, seeing if you can lift the chest just a little bit, almost stacking it over your abdomen and hips. So you're starting to get in a straight line. Keeping the nice deep breath. And start to change the breath a little bit more into the Ujjayi breathing, where we're making almost that Darth Vader sound in the back of the neck, back of the throat. Keeping the mouth closed still. And then on your next, after your next breath, start to bring your shoulders back. You can place your hand back on your legs so you can really open your chest, bringing the shoulders as open as you can get them without arching the lower back. So if you feel your lower back start to arch, you can bring it in, bring the shoulders in just a little bit. Taking a couple of breaths here. And then for the very last adjustment, we're going to take the chin back just a little bit and almost try to press the top of your head. So the more of the back top of your head, so the crown of your head, like you're raising it up towards the ceiling to get yourself as straight as you can, again, without arching the back. So we've lined up the hips, the abdomen, we're opening the chest, bringing the shoulders slightly back. And now we're lifting the head slightly. Imagine your neck just coming straight. You make it a little bit of a stretch there. Feeling what it feels like to sit up tall. Noticing your body getting heavier on your block. And then next, bringing your left hand to your heart, right hand back to the belly. Taking your deep breaths here. On your inhale, you're kind of pressing the chest into the left hand, filling up the chest. On the exhale, we're pressing into the belly, letting go of all the air. Again, inhaling, lifting the chest, pressing it slightly into your left hand. And then exhale into the belly. One last breath. We're going to inhale the same way. But then on your exhale, open your mouth and let the air release completely from your body. Keep letting it out until it feels like you have nothing left to let out. And then return to your natural breath. You can bring your hands back to your legs, letting your breath relax. Allowing your mind to be quiet and focused on your yin practice tonight. And then you can slowly start to open your eyes. Our next pose, our first pose for tonight, actually will be still seated. If you want to remove your block, you can. If you think that's more comfortable than sitting on the mat, you can definitely keep it there. And we're just going to start out our practice tonight with a neck stretch. So we're going to bring the right arm up into the air, touch your left ear, and then bring your right ear over towards your right shoulder. Knowing that we're going to stay here just a little longer. Normally we're here a minute. We'll be here a minute and a half this time. You can start out with your hand on your thigh, or you can bring your hand out to the mat and you'll get more of a stretch. Or if you want to start here and come here once you feel like your neck is ready for that. Always whatever feels good to you. Try to bring the ear away from the shoulder, shoulder away from ear, and really allow the neck to open up. Remember, if you start to feel discomfort, just ease out of the pose as much as you need to. And take one more breath here. And then slowly start to release the ear, bringing the head back up to center. You took the left arm out, you can bring that hand back in. And then we'll do it on the other side. So bringing the left arm up, touching the right ear, bringing that left ear over towards the left shoulder. Deciding what you want to do with your hand. This side might be different. So if you want to keep the hand here the whole time or longer, or go right into the hand on the floor. Listening to your body, just making sure you're relaxing that shoulder down away from the ear. Releasing the tension of the neck. And taking one more breath here. And then slowly releasing that right ear, bringing the head back up to center. Bring the hands back to the legs. And just do a couple of gentle shoulder rolls. And slide the shoulder blades down your back. Next, we're going to come into child's pose. If you need a block underneath your hips, that's always an option for you. Otherwise, we're going to sit back on the heels and stretch the arms up to the top of the mat, resting your head on the mat. If your head doesn't comfortably rest on the mat, you can also use a block there if you need to for your head. And if it is more comfortable, you can take a wide knee child's pose. Always do what works best for you. Letting that back stretch. Try to keep the arms stretching. Don't let them relax too much. Try to keep them engaged somewhat. Start to feel your body melting into your mat. Notice your mind turning inward. If you're having any trouble focusing, you can work on your 4-4 breath. So inhaling for 4 seconds, exhaling for 4 seconds, or whatever your number may be. But evening out the inhale and the exhale gives your mind something to do if it's wandering. Take one more breath here. And then we're going to lift the head, come up onto the knees. So we're on hands and knees, and we're going to come into puppy pose. So we're going to slide the hands out, almost like downward dog hands. We're stretching them out. Hips are hopefully staying right up from the knees. They might go back a little bit, but try to keep them as straight up as you can. And then we're hopefully going forehead to the mat. Again, if you need to place your forehead on a block, instead you can. And if you need to sit back like we were in child's pose, if that's more doable for you, that's okay too. You can really feel the opening and the stretching in the shoulders here. And try to notice your jaw. If you're clenching your jaw, try to let that relax. And one more breath here. And then slowly start to lift your head. Again, coming up onto hands and knees. Maybe do a little cat stretch, pressing your spine up towards the ceiling. And bring the spine back to neutral. We're going to come to laying on our stomach. Next is our lying chest opener stretch. So we're going to start out, so we're on our stomach. We're going to start out with the right arm straight out from your shoulder. We're going to use the left hand to push yourself over onto your right side, any amount that feels okay. And then you can stay there, or you can lift the left leg, put the left foot on the floor behind your right leg. That might be enough. You still have your left hand there to support you. Or lift that left arm up. You can let it kind of just fall behind, or you can place the top of the hand on your lower back. And you can slowly go into any of those that you need to. And take one more breath here. And then start to bring that left hand back under your shoulder. Slowly roll back onto your stomach. And then bring the right hand in under the shoulder. And then we'll do the other side. So we're going to bring the left arm out into T. Use the right hand to push yourself any amount over onto your side. It could stay here. You could keep your knees bent if you need a little more support. Or you can bend that right knee, placing the foot behind your leg. And lift the right arm up. Just sort of let it fall into the pose, or place the top of the hand on your lower back. Feeling the opening in your chest. Relaxing the jaw as much as you can. One more breath here. And then bring that right hand back under your shoulder. Slowly roll back onto your stomach and bring that left hand in. We're going to lay just for a second on your stomach. Bend the elbows. Just rest the side of your face on the mat or your forehead if that feels better. Elbows are bent. Hands are on the mat. Take about 2 more deep breaths here. And then next we're going to come into Sphinx pose. So we're going to start to lift the head up, come up onto the elbows. So make sure that your elbows are right underneath your shoulders. Elbows are at a 90-degree angle. We have a little back bend going on. And then we're going to open the chest even more and try to bring the shoulders back a little bit if you can. Try to keep the gaze straight ahead, not looking down or off to the side. Try to look straight ahead if you can. And then if this gets to be a little bit too much of a back bend, you can slide your elbows out in front of you a little bit, and that will release some of that. Do 3 more rounds of breath here. And then you can either roll to one side or just walk your hands back and come back into a child's pose just for a couple of breaths, stretching out the lower back. Stretch the arms forward. And then allow the arms to drop down beside the legs. We won't stay here long, just a few breaths here. Let your shoulders really relax and melt over your legs. Do 2 more breaths here. And then bring your hands underneath your shoulders and slowly, one vertebra at a time, roll yourself up to seated. Sitting up tall. And then swing your legs around. Next, we're going to come into fire log pose. So that is bringing your right shin kind of parallel to the edge of your mat, and then left shin directly on top of that. If you need to place a block under this knee for a little support, you can do that. And if that just doesn't feel doable tonight, you can sit in cross-leg pose. And then from here, we're going to bring the fingertips out in front of you, and that might be enough. Or you can start to walk your hands out. Again, taking your time. We'll be here for a little bit, so you don't have to rush right down there if you don't want to. Folding forward. Really breathing into that left hip. Remembering you have your blocks too. If you need to rest your head on one or two blocks, you can do that. Try taking nice deep breaths into the hips, allowing the tension, the stress, everything you're holding on to there, just allowing that to release. You have your block on your head on a block, and you want to maybe lower it down, or maybe you did two blocks. You can lower it down maybe a little more now. And take one more breath here. And then on your next inhale, start to slowly walk your hands back in, being mindful of your hips and your lower back. Coming up to seated. And then we'll switch sides. So switch your top and bottom leg. If you decided to do cross-leg pose, switch the cross of your leg. Again, you can have that block close by. It is kind of a nice tool. It almost helps you to get a little bit deeper into your hip even, because you're not worried about folding. You get to relax your head into that block. So you can try it if you'd like. Blocking the hands, starting out in front of you, staying there, or folding any amount. You're choosing the block. Figure out what level you want to start at. And then breathing into the hips, especially that right hip. Allowing it to open and release. Bringing some awareness to your hips. Notice if you're starting to tense them up. Maybe you're tensing your left hip. Start to let that relax. Then you may notice that the right hip feels tense and you're holding on to that even though you didn't notice. Let that relax as much as you can. It might allow you to fold even deeper. Be able to bring the block down. And taking one more breath here. And then on your next inhale, start to lift your head and slowly walk your hands back in. Just feeling the difference in your hips. And one leg at a time, stretch your legs out in front of you. Just giving them a nice stretch. Maybe wiggling the knees a little bit. And we're going to come to laying on our back. Make sure that you have a block close by. We'll need that in just a little bit. That way you don't have to get up and get it. So laying on your back, first give your knees a hug. You can rock a little side to side. And then bring the knees back to center. We're going to hug the right knee only into your chest and stretch the left leg straight onto the mat. You can point your left toes a little bit. You don't have to point them up a ton, just a little point to give your leg a little extra stretch. And hug the knee gently in, but keep the shoulders relaxed. So you can shrug them up to your shoulders, shrug your shoulders up to your ears and slide your shoulder blades down your back to help get your shoulders a little more relaxed. And take one more breath here. And then release the right foot out onto the mat, stretching it out. Stretch through those right toes first. And then you can bring that left knee in, hugging it in. Relax the shoulders down. Hug the knee in just enough to where you feel a little stretch, but you're not crunching it up. And take one more breath here. And then release the left foot straight out onto the mat, stretching through the toes. Then also stretch through your right toes. And then lift your arms up overhead for a full body stretch. From here, we'll come into banana pose. So you can keep your hands as they are. You may have one on top of the other, or you can grab opposite elbows. Or for the most stretch, you can grab your right wrist with your left hand. And then we're going to walk the feet over to the left side. And then bring your upper body, your head, your arms, your shoulders over to the left side. So we're looking for a stretch down the whole right side of the body. If you're not finding it, just keep walking the feet. Keep bringing the arms until you find a good stretch. Take about 5 deep breaths here. And then after you've taken your 5 rounds of breath, walk your feet back to center. Bring your upper body back to center. And then we'll do it on the other side. So if you grabbed your wrist, grab the other wrist. Your hands were on top of each other, flip them around. And then walk the feet over to the right. And then bring the upper body and the arms over to the right. finding that stretch down the whole left side. And then 5 deep breaths here. After your 5 rounds of breath, walk your feet back to the center. Bring the upper body back to the center. And then let your feet relax. Let your arms come down by your side. Do any movement that you feel that you need here. And then we'll get set up for our last pose before Shavasana. So you'll need your block, or some of you I know had like couch pillows. If you're using couch pillows, you may need 2 of them on top of each other. But we're going to bring the feet to the mat, bending the knees. And then we're going to lift the hips up. And then place that block or your pillows right underneath your butt, basically. So it's not up at your lower back, it's just right underneath your butt. We're lifting the hips up into the air. It shouldn't poke and be uncomfortable. So if it is, arrange the block or hurry up and grab a pillow instead, so that it's comfortable for you. And then once you're set up, just let your arms either, they can rest by your side, or if it's more comfortable to fold them and place them on your belly. Giving the hips a little break. Again, if this gets uncomfortable after a while, you can come out and just remove the block. Try to make sure to lengthen your neck here. Don't let it get crunched up. So maybe even bring your head up just a little bit, lift it and set it on the mat so it's not all crunched. And add a little bit of a tuck to your chin. Notice if you're holding a lot of tension in your lower back. Try to focus on releasing that, letting that lower back relax. And take 2 more deep breaths here. And then pressing your feet into the mat, slowly lift your hips, remove that block, and slowly lower the hips back down, one vertebrae at a time. And then if you'd like, you can hug your knees into your chest, rock side to side, anything that you feel that you need here. And then when you're ready, we'll get set up for Shavasana. So do whatever you need to do to be comfortable. You want to turn your lights off if they're not already. You need to grab a blanket. But when you're ready, laying on your back with your eyes closed. And then closing your eyes, relaxing your breath, and allowing your body to take in your yin practice. And then starting with the top of your head, imagine the tension melting out of your forehead, out of your jaw, and out of your neck. Then imagine the tension melting out of your chest and shoulders, arms and hands. Imagine the tension melting out of your back, abdomen, hips, legs, and feet until your whole body is completely relaxed. You have nothing to do for the next several minutes but relax. Shavasana. Slowly start to bring your awareness back to your body. Start to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Make some wrist circles, ankle circles. And then let your head drop over to the left. And then over to the right. And then when you're ready, roll over onto your side, pausing there for a moment. And then when you're ready, using your hands to push yourself up to seated with your eyes closed. If you'd like, you can place your hands at heart center. And then take a nice deep breath. Take a moment to notice how you feel. Notice how it feels to slow down and take an hour for yourself, focusing your attention on just you. Everything else might seem more important, but this is one of the most important things you can do for yourself. Thank you for allowing yourself this time tonight. Thank you for your practice and your presence. Namaste. Thank you guys for coming tonight.
Thank you.